And now, over to Ron for the next guest on the weekend show on chatandspinradio.com.
And the time now on Chat and Spin Radio in the UK is 3:40 p.m. And in France, Judy, you're on the line. What time is it in France?
It's 4:40.
4:40, right. Now, Judy, you're in Montpellier, or near Montpellier. Where are you exactly?
Well, it's nearer to Béziers. There's a little village called Tourbe, close to Pézenas, which is it's a lovely village you should visit. But about 40 minutes from Montpellier, I guess.
Right. Now, you've written a book that you want to talk about, so just tell me the title of the book and what it's about.
It's called What Empty Things Are These? And it's set in London in 1860. It's about a woman whose husband has had a stroke, so he's much older than her, and she's likely to be widowed soon. So what is she going to do next? She'd like to avoid social suffocation and genteel poverty, but she needs to go out and discover what there is for a woman to do in 1860 in London, which, as you might surmise, is limited. And she also discovers quite a lot about the city, the magnificent parts of London, the magnificent aspects of Victorians, and the dark underside of Victorian Britain as well.
What inspired you to write it?
Well, strangely enough, I have to start with my childhood, which was spent oddly in Southeast Asia, in Saigon, which in the middle of the war in the 60s, and there wasn't actually a lot to do for young girls. I read a lot, and I basically read my way entirely through the British Council library, from the children's section right into the adult section. I was reading Thackeray when I was 9, so I discovered a great liking for Victorians around about then. And since then, I've just found Victorians to be fascinating because they're very like us. They are our immediate ancestors. It's when the middle class looked a lot like they do now, when capitalism really hit its straps. Women were starting to think about their rights. People were starting to talk about social issues, all that sort of stuff. So there we are.
Just repeat the title of the book in case anyone missed it.
Okay, it's called What Empty Things Are These? What
Empty Things Are These?
That's right.
Are you going to have a follow-up book coming up in the near future?
Well, now, I have another book coming which is set a century later in 1960 in Vietnam, so probably not a huge surprise. But of course, I'm happy to do a follow-up on the Victorian one if enough people buy it, of course, naturally. Happy to do.
If anyone, I was going to say, if anyone wants a signed copy, would you be able to help with that?
I would indeed. I would suggest they go to my website where they can write me a note, www.jlcrozier.com, and send me a note, and I think the price would be something like £16 plus postage. I'm not sure what that is from France at the moment, and I'm happy to make it personalised, your own name and everything. So I'd be very pleased to hear from people.
Okay, is there anything else you want to mention this afternoon about the books?
I think a lot of people would find quite a deal to interest them in it. It is a literary book, but it's also an adventure book, a bit of a thriller, detective, romance, just about everything in it. They visit a seance, they visit alleyways, they visit Mr. Basil gets new work from the sewer and all that sort of stuff. So everything happens in this book, and it talks about the status of women in a very recognisable way, I think.
Okay then, Judy, well, thank you very much for coming on, and the very best of luck with the book and any future books that you write as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.